Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is December 3rd, 2024, and Barcelona back to its winning ways as they have thrashed Mallorca 1-5 in what has been a reversion of what was going on in the last three matches in La Liga. This is the post-match live analysis. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo and this is the post-match live analysis where we analyze Barcelona matches as soon as they end. Now I'm doing it several hours after because I did have to work. I'm also still out of the country. But nonetheless, here I am ready to analyze today's victory over Mallorca. Now, I will be addressing the chat section, so please let me know what your thoughts are so I can read your comments once we're done with the analysis. And of course, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. Now let's begin with the match analysis because, ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona have returned to their winning ways after thrashing Mallorca 1-5 with goals of Ferran Torres. No, you're not hearing that by mistake. It is Ferran Torres. He actually scored a goal. 2 goals by Coutinho, a goal by Frankie de Jong, and a goal by Pau Victor. And with that, Barcelona have returned to their old ways of not only winning matches and winning them convincingly, but also by winning them through thrashings. Now, two completely different halves. The first half reminiscent of what Barcelona was doing in the last 3 matches against Real Sociedad, Celta Vigo, and Las Palmas, where Barcelona were unable to convert the chances that they were creating, and that almost cost us because Barcelona had 4 clear chances that they wasted, 2 by Lamine Yamal and 2 by Ferran Torres. And when you waste your chances, well, it ends up costing you because had we scored half of those chances, not all of them because you're not going to score every chance you create, but had we scored half of those, we would have been up 0-3. And when Mallorca had scored their goal, nobody would have cared. Nobody would have batted an eye because the scoreline would have been 1-3. But instead, Barcelona did not take advantage of those chances that they created. And Mallorca ended up tying us. So it was 1-1. And all of a sudden, we were all worried. All of a sudden, we were seeing flashbacks of the last 3 matches. And it did not look good for Barcelona. And a lot of it had to do because the team was playing like the previous matches where there was disconnection between the players, where the players were not playing with the same intensity. They weren't recovering the ball as soon as they lost it. They weren't trying to steal the ball in Mallorca's third and therefore catching Mallorca off guard and disorganized. And that's why it ended up 1-1 during the first half. And Mallorca's goal was a perfect example of that. Daniel Olmo loses the ball. Nobody rushes to pressure the Mallorca player that had the ball. Instead, they all stood back. They watched him. They gave him 2-3 seconds for him to decide what to do. Boom, there comes the pass right through our defensive line. Mallorca score a goal. And all of a sudden, we are getting flashbacks from the last 3 matches in La Liga. But thankfully, during the second half, things changed. Barcelona came out with a lot more intensity, with a lot more motivation. Not as much as they used to play with, but definitely more than what they've been doing these last 3 matches. And thankfully, Barcelona were able to generate more chances. They were able to score 4 goals. And this is the difference between Barcelona during the last 3 matches and Barcelona before that. Because before that, we were scoring, we were converting our chances into goals, so we didn't care about scoring goals. Now, this is very important because a lot of people were saying, oh, other teams have figured out how to play against Flick. Oh, the offside trap does not work. Oh, someone even told me this whole idea of just not caring about how many goals you get scored on as long as you score more than your opponents, it's an outdated idea. All BS. It's none of the above. Other teams have not figured out how to play against us. The offside trap does work. And scoring more than your opponents is still a pretty valid idea in modern football. Today is the proof of that. Because if you look at all the matches since the season began, we've always been scored on. Celta scored against us 2 goals. Las Palmas scored against us 2 goals. Real Sociedad scored against us 1 goal. That's no different than the previous matches. We were getting scored on in every match almost in La Liga and in the Champions League. What was the difference? is that our offense did their part and they would score 4 or 5 goals. So that 1 or 2 goals that we were getting scored on per match, it didn't matter because we were scoring more than our opponents. Today, same thing. Mallorca scored on us a goal, just like any other team before them. Did it matter? No. Why? Because Barcelona scored 5. So no, other teams have not figured out how to beat us. The offside trap it's not that it doesn't work. It wasn't being applied correctly. And yes, not caring how much you get scored on, as long as you score more, it's very, very much a valid idea in today's modern football. And today's match was a total proof of that. Now, the team still has some work to do because they're still not playing with the same intensity. There's still some disconnection between the players. Koundé today, some moments we saw the old Koundé really motivated, really connected in the game, and sometimes he would fall asleep. Lamine Yamal, not the best of matches, but someone like him, magical, even when he's not having the best of matches, boom, he gives you 2 crazy assists, he creates a penalty kick out of nothing, and he helps you win the game. And of course, the players who are still performing at their top, regardless of what day it is, Pau Cubarsí, Iñigo Martinez, and Coutinho, because these 3 have been absolutely impeccable. Even our midfield between Dani Olmo, Pedri, and Casado, the 3 of them did not have their best day. But when you have someone like Lamine Yamal, who even on his worst day can give you those assists that he did, when you have someone like Rafinha that simply does not have bad days since the season began, and when you have someone like Pau Cubarsí and Iñigo Martinez, who again, a total wall in the back, things work out. So really great result by Barcelona, turning things around. And this is very, very important, not because we won. Well, that's obviously important. And not only because we got 3 points, but it was important because I think the players needed this. They needed to revert the situation. They needed to start believing again in themselves and in the project. And they needed this win, and they needed to win by a big margin. So Barcelona can go back to their old ways before those 3 matches. Because believe it or not, getting motivated against smaller teams, that's a very difficult thing to do. Anybody can get motivated to play a Clásico match against Real Madrid. Any player can get motivated for those matches. The difficult thing is getting motivated to play against teams like Mallorca, like Levante, like Leganés, etc. Those are the teams that are hard to get motivated to play against. And so it's very important to see today the team getting motivated to play against Mallorca, because it's very important to stay humble. Just because you're playing against a bottom of the table team doesn't mean you get to go on the field and just jog and give your half because, oh, I'm so good, I don't need to even try. No, I think we've learned that lesson against Celta Vigo. We learned that lesson against Las Palmas, that it doesn't matter who the opponent is, doesn't matter if it's Real Madrid or the bottom of the table team. You have to give the same exact intensity against every single opponent. Otherwise, you risk losing, and that's exactly what happened to us in the last few matches. Now, let's quickly look at the lineup, because there was some surprises in the lineup that Hansi Flick picked. Of course, Iñaki Peña, he made it very clear that Hansi Flick was choosing Iñaki Peña. He was not going to be bringing in Szczesny. He's still his number 1 goalie. Jules Koundé and Balde as our 2 fullbacks. Cubarsí and Iñigo, of course, as our 2 center backs. Pedri and Marc Casado in the double pivot. Casado coming back from suspension against Las Palmas after receiving that red card against Celta Vigo. Lamine Yamal on the right wing. Rafinha going back to the left. Dani Olmo as that attacking midfield position. And finally, Ferran Torres, the big surprise of today's match. Hansi Flick trying something different. I think he probably wanted to try somewhere more mobile than Robert Lewandowski, someone that can pressure, because Lewandowski, we know he's best when he's in the box. He's not really someone who pressures or comes back down. So I think that's what he was trying to do. I don't want to say that his bet did not pay off at all, because after all, Ferran Torres did score the first goal. But I think it's very clear. Ferran Torres simply does not have the level to be a Barca player. It's plain and simple. He's been tried on the right as a right winger. He's been tried as a left winger. He's been tried as an attacking midfielder. Today, he was been tried as a center forward. And just Ferran Torres does not have what it takes to be a Barca player. Even when I was watching Pau Victor, the way he moves, the way he controls the ball, the way he anticipates passes, levels ahead of Ferran Torres. And if there's one clear that came out of today's match, is that if you are going to start someone ahead of Lewandowski, it has to be Pau Victor, not Ferran Torres. I think Ferran Torres definitely drops to 3rd, maybe even 4th, with Ansu Fati ahead of him, because today was just not a good day for Ferran Torres. It was not a match where he was able to vindicate himself. And it is what it is. I think Barcelona should continue to try to sell him. I know he keeps saying he wants to stay and prove himself, but I think that ship has sailed a long time ago. Rafinha, for me, the best of the match, undoubtedly. I mean, not only because he scored 2 goals, but just his dedication, the way he's involved in every play, the way he's constantly running to the back of the defenders, the way he's constantly coming back to defend. I think Rafinha was, for me, the absolute best today. Lamine Yamal with those passes, my God, those passes with the outside of the boot. I mean, that kid is just magic. That kid is absolute magic. And it was good to see him getting those 2 assists because, again, his first half was not that good. He was being erratic, not very consistent, but it's normal. Let's not forget, he's been out for, 3.5 weeks due to injury. Of course, it's going to take you some time to get back into rhythm. It looks like Lamine Yamal, after the second half, he's back into rhythm. And when Lamine is back in the rhythm, well, the other teams, you better pray for the best. Not the best match, again, of Pedri, Casado, or Olmo, but hopefully, that will change. After all, those 3 together have been absolutely lethal. Today wasn't their day. We'll see how, all players are allowed a bad day. Anyways, very important result. Again, not just because of the victory, not just because of 3 points, but it was very important to revert the way so Barcelona can go back to playing how they were. And again, this is what happens when your offense does its part, when your offense scores goals, because it's not about how many goals you get scored on. We've been getting scored on this whole season. It's whether you score more. The last 3 matches, we were not scoring more, and that's why we ended up losing and drawing. Today, we scored more, and we got the positive results. So very happy for this result. I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions. Let me know in the chat section. For those of you who'll be watching when it ends, let me know in the comment section. And let's read a few comments, and then we will end this. I do have to be somewhere, and then I'm going to make some videos as far as reactions and some news as well. Eric says, the second Ferran came off, Barcelona was a better team. I wouldn't say the second he came off, Barcelona was a much better team as soon as the second half began. Ferran Torres came off at the 60-something minute. Barcelona were already doing much better than they were during the first half. Of course, I'm not defending Ferran. I'm not saying he did a good job because he didn't. But I wouldn't say when he came off, Barcelona became better. I think it's as soon as the second half started is when the team got better. I don't know if it's something that Flick told the players in the locker room, or maybe it was just the players who realized, okay, like we have to step it up. We're in trouble. We're drawing 1-1 against Mallorca. We're doing the same exact thing as the last 3 matches. Maybe that's what it was. I'm not sure, but it was definitely as soon as the second half began. Triple X says, Culés, imagine Leao on the left, Rafinha on the 10 roll, and Yamal on the right. Illegal. Yeah, but unfortunately, we cannot afford Leao. But I guess, dreaming is free, so why not? Street Fighter says, I tell people that Paul Victor is a good player, but he has not been playing much. I mean, we all know that Paul Victor has potential. We all saw what he did in the preseason. Yeah, he hasn't been playing much. I don't know what it is. Maybe Flick doesn't see him as a starter. Maybe he sees something in practice. Or maybe it's just because Lewandowski has been on such a good form. Which, by the way, there's still people saying that Lewandowski sucks. Top scorer in La Liga, top scorer in the Champions League, and somehow that still makes you a bad player. I don't understand it. If someone can explain it to me, please do, because as a center forward, literally your only job is to score goals. And if you're scoring goals more than anyone else, that means you're doing your job better than anyone else. And if that still makes you a bad player, then I don't know what makes you a good player. Because imagine being a race car driver and you're like winning every race and people are like, oh, he sucks. What is he supposed to do? Zodiac says, I missed this Barca. I'm glad we're back now. Looking forward to Real Betis and Dortmund. Definitely 2 difficult matches. Real Betis, is always a challenge. And then, of course, Dortmund is Dortmund. And in the Champions League, anything can happen. But hopefully we'll pull those victories through as well. Now, Babies, come back with the donation. Thank you, my friend, for your generosity. Says, what's up, Mo? You think Gabi is okay being a sub? Probably not. Gabi, we know he's a fighter. We know he likes to, play with lots of intensity, with lots of heart. So I'm sure he's not happy with being a sub, but it's part of the process, the healing process, right? It's not just going through the surgery and the rehab and the training, individualized training. It's also getting back into rhythm slowly, because the last thing you want to do is put him in 90 minutes and boom, there goes his knee again, God forbid. So I'm sure he's frustrated with it, but it is what it is. You have to go through it. He's very young. He has a very long career ahead of him. It's better to miss 1 season and then play the rest of, another 10 seasons versus play that 1 season and miss the other 10 because you rushed yourself back into playtime. Street Fighter says, I have to say, these young players feel pressure. So us Russian players like Pau Victor and Fatih, the pressure to succeed can affect the player performance. It does. I think we used to see it with Vitor Roque again. Every time he would come in on the field, he was like so pressured and he wanted to do so well and impress that he would end up just looking like a headless chicken on the field. So yeah, the pressure definitely influences a lot, and it's all about how you manage it, right? Are you going to turn that pressure into fuel, or are you just going to crack under it? Julia says, hey Mo, hope your vacation is going well. Let us know some good spots to visit in Argentina if that's where you're vacationing. I am in Argentina. I was first in Florida on the work trip, and then I flew down to Argentina. I took some days off. I was in the south called Bariloche, which is part of Patagonia. Beautiful place. If you could ever visit, please do so. It's an amazing place. Now I'm in Buenos Aires, which is the capital of Argentina. I'm actually working again. Working remotely from Buenos Aires, working all day, and then at night I try to go out and get to know the city. Beautiful city. I was supposed to go to the Boca Juniors match. I wasn't able to because my flight was delayed several hours, so I ended up missing the match. But tomorrow I will be going to the River Plate match at the Monumental, so I will be taking my camera with me. I will be filming, and then of course, I'll get to share that experience with you guys. Hopefully you like that video. I'm very looking forward to it. And let's do one more comment before I have to leave. But SS says, whoa, why doesn't it want it? There we go. I didn't see it, but good game. Still didn't. I recommend you watch the highlights. And if you want to rewatch the game, just watch the second half because the first one was not that good. Or just watch the highlight and watch the goals. By the way, Frankie de Jong, I almost forgot to say, I really liked what I saw from Frankie de Jong. He came out really motivated, playing with lots of intensity as opposed to the previous matches. I don't know if it's just one of his one-off games where he comes off good or if he's finally feeling the pressure of Barcelona pulling back his offer renewal and him being whistled by the fans. I don't know if maybe that motivated him, but today I really like the intensity that Frankie de Jong was having in the match, not to mention an assist and a goal. Hey, I'm all for it. Anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in, for your comments, your likes, your donations. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Peace, guys.